Afrika borwa a matle, ba gaetsho, batho ba hasho, bantu bakuthi, bantu bekhethu. Good morning, goeiemorgen, lotshani, dumelang, sanibonani. Abusheni, ndimatsheloni. My name is Florence Masebe. It is my honor to welcome you and drive this beautiful vehicle with you to the very end as directed by SACNASP. As we sit and reflect, looking back all the way starting in the year 2003 up until where we are today, when we can invite you to spare your precious time and celebrate 20 years of advancing professionalization, scientific integrity, and inclusivity. That is what we called you here for, a celebration of the 20 years of existence of the South African Council for Natural Scientific Professions. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. Give yourself a warm hand.
I'm deeply honored to address you today as the chairperson of Council for the South African Council for Natural Scientific Professions, commonly known as SACNASP. SACNASP is a vital entity under the Department of Science and Innovation. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation for the unwavering support we receive from the Honorable Minister and from our principals from the DSI. Today, we gather here to commemorate a significant milestone in our journey, the 20th anniversary of SACNASP. Since our establishment through the National Science Professions Act of 2003. This was subsequently amended by the Science and Technology Laws Amendment Act of 2014. Distinguished guests, before this milestone, it will be very remiss of me for not acknowledging the groundwork that began prior to 2003. The professional status for natural scientists traces its origins back to 1970s, championed by organizations such as the South African Society for Animal Production. Now it's known as South African Society for Animal Science. This effort led to the Natural Scientists Act of 1982, the ancestor to the current NSP Act of 2003. In terms of scientific integrity, this forms the cornerstone of our organization, and we remain steadfast in safeguarding it. Through our regulatory efforts, we ensure that our registered scientists meet the requisite standards of education, ethics, and competency. SACNAS also establishes and enforces ethical standards. This is to ensure that our registered scientists adhere to a code of conduct. Thus, we align with the national priority of building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Our dedication to inclusivity is at the core of SACNAS, and we remain committed to promoting a diversity in all its forms. I am pleased to share that our transformation agenda have led to a significant increase in registered scientists from designated groups. This is a fitting moment to reflect over the past decade and look ahead to the next 20 years. While our accomplishments are too numerous to enumerate, it's important to note that we have consistently and intentionally aligned ourselves with the ministerial directives, with the DSI, with the National Development Plan, as well as the national priorities. For example, through our science engagements and communication initiatives, and our networks of registered scientists throughout the country, we endeavor to bring science to society and support the district development model. Moving forward, we will continue to harness the partnerships with all relevant stakeholders who share common interests, such as industry, our VAs, government departments, higher education institutions, and other regulatory bodies. For example, we are collaborating with the University of Joburg Business School to streamline our registration processes using digital tools, including artificial intelligence. Furthermore, we are establishing international partnerships with like-minded organizations such as China Academy for Science and Technology and the Uganda National Council for Science and Technology, amongst others. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's noteworthy, and I repeat, it is noteworthy that SACNASP goals resonates well with the 2019 white paper on science, technology, and innovation and its decadal plan, especially where it emphasizes the core themes of inclusivity, transformation, and partnerships, to mention but just a few. Our vision for the future is one of progress, inclusivity, professionalism, and unwavering scientific integrity. Together, in partnership with all stakeholders within the national systems of innovation, we can shape a stronger and more equitable scientific community for all. Let's work together to address societal grand challenges and drive socio-economic transformation in South Africa through science, technology, and innovation. I thank you. Ndiyalibuka.
Greetings to you all on this auspicious occasion of SACNASP's 20th year celebration. It is an honor and a privilege to address you today as the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and the Rector of the United Nations University based in Tokyo, Japan. I extend my warmest congratulations to SACNASP and all those who have contributed to 2 decades of unwavering commitment to advancing professionalism, integrity, and inclusivity in the natural scientific professions landscape. The theme of this year's celebration, Advancing Professionalism, Integrity, and Inclusivity, resonates deeply with the core values that underpin the United Nations University. The pursuit of this principle is not just a noble aspiration, but it is a fundamental requirement for building a more equitable and sustainable world. Professionalism is the bedrock upon which progress in science and technology is built. SACNASP's dedication to fostering and upholding the highest standards of professionalism in the natural scientific profession is commendable. Professionalism ensures that SACNASP registered scientists belong to a community of practice and have rigor and credibility in their work. And it is it's a vital factor in driving innovation and progress. Furthermore, integrity is a non-negotiable pillar of any scientific endeavor. In a world where scientific knowledge holds immense power, maintaining the highest ethical standards is of paramount importance. Through adherence to SACNASP's Code of Conduct, the commitment to the ethical conduct and transparency is not only praiseworthy, but also essential in ensuring that the work of natural scientists is conducted with the utmost integrity for the protection of the environment, the professions, and the public at large. Inclusivity is a principle that is very close to our hearts at the United Nations. Diversity in all its forms is a source of strength and innovation. SACNASP's dedication to fostering a more inclusive environment for natural scientists is in line with the United Nations commitment to leaving no one behind. A more inclusive scientific community is a more effective tool, particularly given the pivotal role of science, technology, and innovation in propelling the socio-economic development of many nations. The United Nations University stands in full support of these values, and I am confident that SACNASP's mission and values are in line with our values. We recognize the pivotal role of natural scientists in addressing some of the world's most pressing challenges, from food security and environmental sustainability to public health and beyond. SACNASP work aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and we are committed, fully committed, to partnering with SACNASP in advancing these shared objectives going forward. As SACNASP celebrate 2 decades of dedication and progress, I urge you to look ahead to the future. And please remember that the United Nations University is a steadfast body that is concerned in building a world that is peaceful and sustainable. Your contributions to national priorities and beyond are not only invaluable, but also essential to the betterment of our world. As I conclude, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to SACNASP on reaching this significant milestone. I wish you a successful and memorable 20th year celebration. I eagerly anticipate witnessing the continued positive impact of SACNASP not only locally, but also on the African continent and also on the global scale. Thank you and congratulations once again on this significant milestone. Arigato. Gozaimashita. Ndiaribuwa. Nyabonga. Bayadanki.
I always like to share that, the instruments that we have in terms of inducing or shaping the right behaviors from our agencies are the following. I call them the levers of, I don't want to say control, but levers to shape the right behaviors. The first one is funding. The second one is legislation. The third one is policy development. And we use governance prescripts. We set agenda, priority agenda setting. And we also do institutional reviews. Just to reflect on a few. SACNASP was accommodated under the department through funding support through an instrument of contracts. And I'm glad to say that over this 10-year period, SACNASP has always been able to give us clean audits. We have actually, as a department, that prides itself on research and innovation, particularly in the use of research to advance decision-making. We have actually induced SACNASP to conduct some studies. The first such study, a seminal study, was on the employability and self-employment prospects of natural science graduates. And this study is followed by the current study that is due for completion soon on the skills and competencies for future scientists in tackling societal grand challenges. Now, it is common cause in the department that when our entities come to us, and they vouch for this intervention or the other, we always ask them, where is the evidence? Where is the empirical evidence? And if you can't substantiate that with the evidence, then you are likely not to see the light of the day in terms of your what you want to implement. The South African public has the right to expect from its government accurate information, data, and evidence, and scientifically informed services, policies, practices, and communications. Like other professionals, scientists are expected to behave with intellectual honesty and excellence in thinking and doing. In many respects, they perform their professional activities as licensed by society, similar to doctors, nurses, lawyers, hairdressers, accountants, and real estate brokers. Besides providing their expertise, professionals are supposed to behave collegially and teach the skills to others and put society's economies, and the environment's needs first in their professional conduct and activities. Upholding scientific integrity means protecting science during all stages of its development and application to communicating and making use of information and decision-making or decision support. I state this because most of our students are funded through a public purse, and the public deserves better in terms of services that are offered by, her educated cohort. Just in closing, I want to just quote from Jim Collins' book, From Good to Great. The next 20 years should be great years. And this is a message I'm conveying to the head honchos at SACNASP. Jim Collins says that good is the enemy of great, that we don't have good schools, that we don't have great schools because we have settled for good schools. We don't have great hospitals because we have settled for good hospitals. So I'm looking forward to, SACNASP successfully navigating the existential and mandate contours ahead in becoming a great regulatory and registration institution. For SACNASP to do that, you need also to take heed from another Jim Collins lesson, that when all has been accomplished, excellently accomplished, you look through the window rather than look at the mirror. So it's not about the leadership at SACNASP, because when you look at the mirror, you see yourselves. But when you look through the window, you see all the role players and the stakeholders.
I like celebrations. They actually stimulate positive hormones in the humanity and also in the animal kingdom. Those of you that also take interest in that science as well. It makes you have more energy, more resilience, and more determinations to achieve even more. So I couldn't resist to accept your kind invitation to be with you to celebrate 20 years of the South African Council for Natural Scientific Professions. An area, scientific professionals, which is critical for ensuring that there is indeed professionalism, scientific integrity, and inclusivity in the field of science indeed. As we prepare to celebrate 30 years of the South African democracy and the transition from the dark past of apartheid, where science was used to oppress others, to exploit others, to torture others, and also to ignore others, because we really didn't have data that is credible about especially the quality of life of the black people in our country. And as we prepared to celebrate this 30 years, we want to congratulate SACNASP for the transformation that you've also advanced. And now to having 26 disciplines and supported by 48 associations, well equipped with tools and commitment to serve South Africa and build a better country and contribute to a better Africa and a better world. That's why, for me, it's so important that we celebrate with you this journey of reflections and commitment to take your tasks to a greater height, appreciating that you are a regulatory structure, but you are also a structure that brings about dignity, integrity, and trust in those that have pursued your profession. As a nation, we have signed a number of international agreements and protocols that require that we be led by yourselves. Around the issues that ourselves as a nation face, we need to use the prowess of the scientific knowledge, scientific skill of analyzing a problem and developing and innovating solutions to defeat emerging and chronic socio-economic challenges such as what we've just faced, COVID, poverty, crime, including gender-based violence. MRC, Medical Research Council, is one of the advisors of the UN on the issue of gender-based violence. Really, having so many scientists in our country, how can this problem of gender-based violence just expand under our watch? Some of us need to deal with it. Issues of inequality. How can we be resilient to the 2008 global recession, but still end up with such high levels of youth unemployment? How can we invest in programs such as NSFAS and have these skilled young people not integrated in the economy? But we want to also celebrate the fact that we have been able to benefit as a country from your various contributions that the director has also outlined. And we have confidence that focused on what really society needs and how can you individually and collectively within the natural scientific community or profession, how can you leave a lasting legacy that will result in a turnaround from these chronic and almost intractable problems. Please, I want to refer you to the Census 2022 results, and that we review how far we have journeyed together and what else needs to be done to make our country a more equitable, to have a more equitable development and also achieve a shared growth. I'm one that really believes that we are greatly endowed in Africa, most possibly even more endowed in natural resources, the waters, from the seas to the rivers, the skies. We have more sun than many other continents, the minerals that are also used for developing green energy, and so forth and so forth. A rich history of civilization that requires us to study and unpack. And this is the reason why we need to invest in PhDs. We need to get to a point where a leader in any sector in our country must have a PhD in that sector. We need to advance the use or the qualifications around STEM subjects. We need to make our teachers much more comfortable and equipped to produce learners that are comfortable and love the STEM subjects. And also lastly, that we need to reaffirm the previous resolutions of investing in local owned industries that show that indeed we have taken investment in our own knowledge for our own advancement forward. I wish you well with your deliberations and also in the journey of making our country even a better place and our region a better Africa towards a better world. Thank you.
As it was earlier alluded, we are one of the entities of the Department of Science and Innovation. Some of you may know of the National Research Foundation, CSIR, ASAF, TIA, who are really looking at the whole value chain in terms of taking research and commercialization. HSRC looking at the human science, social sciences, and SANSTA helping us with our space as a space agency and space research. And of course, ourselves, we believe that the journey begins with us because our mandate is clear. We register, we regulate the natural science professionals in South Africa. We were established, it is what earlier alluded, in terms of the Natural Scientific Professions Act, that is Act 27 of 2003, and which we refer to as the NSP Act. The Council, and I'm happy that quite a number of our Council members are here today, they report to the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Dr. Blade Nzimande. And our mandate is really four-pronged. As indicated, we register our natural scientists, we regulate them in order to protect the public, the profession, as well as the environment, because that is important. And we also enable our scientists through various lifelong programs that we've established over the years, and equally important, as it was advised by Becky, that we do provide a number of reports. These are evidence-based reports that advise government on the role and the contribution of science, technology, and innovation and how our scientists are making an impact in this particular space. So all of this talks to how we are enhancing integrity in science. Having said that, how then do we register our scientists? We are guided by our legislative mandate, the NSP Act, number 27 of 2003, and there are three categories of registration. As the graduates, they come through the universities, they start as being candidate natural scientists, that is where they get the certificate, that therefore helps them to progress in their journey to become professional natural scientists. Once they accumulate 2 years maximum experience, then they progress to be certificate natural scientists with that degree, with that educational background. And lastly, of course, with extensive experience, they become professional natural scientists. And of course, our act is clear that a person may not practice in any of the fields of practice which are listed in Schedule 1, which I'll take you through in a minute, unless he or she is registered in that category mentioned in subsection 1. Furthermore, section 21 states that only a registered person may practice in a consulting capacity. We have quite a number of platforms where our scientists, the public, they come through and they give us various complaints about the conduct of our scientists. And it is clear from our code of conduct that failure to comply with the code of conduct will constitute improper conduct, which may result in the registered person being found guilty and being sanctioned in terms of various sections of the Natural Professions Act 2003. So these are very important tools and instruments that we utilize, and as when our registered scientists they get that certificate, they also get these blueprints that will help them, conduct themselves professionally. And it was earlier alluded to. We need to ensure that the services that we render as scientists are of high standard and the country can grow, and also we can really contribute to the development of this country. So how have we evolved over the years, especially when you look at our regulatory function? Yes, we are talking now about the 2003 NSP Act. Earlier on, it was alluded to by our chair that there was quite a lot of groundwork which was done prior to the 2003 Act. And as we now strengthen our processes, our regulatory function, in 2006, we had the Code of Conduct gazetted and annually revised or reviewed. And to 2016, we started establishing a legal and disciplinary committee, and then this was further strengthened by having a professional conduct committee in 2018. And I'm happy that the chair of the PCC, Mr. Jewel, is here, and we can engage with him further just to understand the role that we're playing to ensure that we have a strengthened regulatory function as the entity or the council. Currently, we have our NSP draft bill, which will also help us to be really that regulatory body for the natural scientists. Furthermore, in terms of enabling the scientists, this is very key because, yes, we register, we regulate, but it is important that we also enable and advance them as they progress with their careers as natural scientists, as professionals. So these are some of the significant milestones over the years, 20 years that we've been of our existence. 2014, we had a very good collaboration and recognition by SACWA in terms of the qualifications. 2017, we started the program that speaks to continuing professional development. Not only do we regulate them, but we want to ensure that we also harness these skills. We also build them to be competent in the work that they do. 2018, yes, as we now are partnering and ensuring that we work very closely with the department, we started now putting together our 5-year strategic plan. And of course, we will be starting another phase now to ensure that for the next 5 years till 2030, we have another robust strategy, very intentional, understanding the key problems that we're facing as a country and what is our role as SACNASP. So 2018, we had the free student enrollment introduced, where we are going to the universities, preparing our graduates towards this journey of professionalization. 2019, it became important that now we start nurturing this young talent, and we came with the candidate mentorship program, working closely with the 48 voluntary associations. These are people in the universities, the academics, the professors, to help us really ensure that we mentor this young talent. This is our future leaders, and we need to ensure that as they journey on through professional registration, there is somebody holding their hand. Lifelong learning programs are 2, candidate mentorship program, as well as the CPD. I'm not sure what has happened there, but we'll continue. So here really is the CMP. We've got young people where we are really giving them and empowering them with skills to prepare them for the job. And in other cases, we are building them as entrepreneurs. I think for me, that is very key, and for the universities to start ensuring that we don't just create and produce graduates that are seeking employment, but graduates that are going to create employment as well. And also with continuous professional development, we've got a person now has a managerial position. How then do they contribute? How do they nurture the young people? So they're given and equipped with necessary skills to really perform well in whatever area they are. And I think that's about it for this in terms of what we've been able to achieve. But I wanted to close that in 2018, the president of the country actually gave us even much more, marching orders, and said that regulatory bodies must play their role and regulate the various sectors that we have. I think over the past few weeks or so, we've seen quite a number of, bogus degrees, people claiming to be doctors and so forth. This is the role that we need to take and ensure that they understand the implications, they understand, they are harming the environment, they're harming the public, but also what role do we play as regulators? So with that, I would like to thank you so much for your audience, and let us work together as we journey on in advancing the natural science professionalization, the scientific integrity, and doing it in an inclusive manner, leaving no one behind. Thank you very much.
We've been listening first with the chairperson of council speaking, and then with the CEO as they spoke about all the strategic projects. I think Mr. Hadebe as well from the department touched on all the milestones and the achievements over the years. When we speak about them, they look lovely on paper, but I want you to help us understand more at an impact level what those strategic projects have helped us to achieve.
Thanks very much. Yes, many of the achievements that have been spoken about this morning fall under the purview of the committee that I chair, so we deal with this quite closely. I think in terms of one of the greatest achievements is the number of natural scientists that are currently registered with SACNASP, 17,000. That's a huge number, and there's been a dramatic increase in the number. So this is a major contribution to professionalization in the country. Another achievement that's been fairly recent has been the attempt to evaluate the programs at the universities so that we can speed up the registration process. If you think about evaluating individual people and looking at their qualifications, it takes an enormous time. So that attempt to evaluate programs so that they can automate it has been a major achievement, particularly the recent initiative with artificial intelligence with the University of Johannesburg. Another major part of what we do is the continuing professional development that has been spoken about, registering students at the university so that we can bring them through to full professional registration. And then I think also to mention the studies that SACNASP is beginning to undertake to offer advice in the sector. The first study was on the employability of graduates, and I think that had a major impact when we're looking at the high unemployment levels in our country. And we're currently busy with a follow-up study looking at the skills and competencies that are required by future natural scientists. And just to say that social sciences forms perhaps an important part of that, so we shouldn't forget that. So a number of achievements, and congratulations go to the leadership and the staff of SACNASP for what they have done in particularly the recent past.
Thank you very much, Prof. DVC, from an institutional perspective, the relationship that is required with bodies like SACNASP, what does that do for you in preparing the future natural scientists, scientific professions that we're going to have? You've got quite a lot of them coming out of your institution. How does this relationship work? And how would you rather see it work, perhaps?
In terms of the collaborations that we're having as academic institutions with professional bodies such as SACNASP, they play a very important role, those collaborations. First and foremost, overall, they ensure, those collaborations ensure that we bridge the gap as academic institutions between ourselves and industry. What does that do? Then it ensures that we have produced graduates that are ready for industry, that are aligned to what the industry is looking for. Secondly, the quality of education that they are receiving because of the collaboration between ourselves and the professional bodies contribute immensely in ensuring that they are employable. So if we're talking about employability, as my colleague has just mentioned, why is that important? It was said not so long ago that as a country, we do not want to produce graduates that are going to sit at home. We want to produce graduates that are going to be taken up by industry, or if not taken up by industry, they are able to create employment opportunities. So that's my opening line in terms of the importance of the collaboration between ourselves and professional bodies. There are many of them, but I will try to zoom into SACNAP.
NASP.
Now, if we can unpack it a bit, if you look at the work that is done by the professional bodies such as SACNAP in terms of the alignment of our curriculum, to ensure then that the curriculum that we're giving to the students, the programs, they are fully aligned with what industry is looking for. Speaks to what I spoke to earlier on, so curriculum alignment. Secondly, if we're looking at the role that was explained very eloquently by the CEO of the professional body such as SACNAP, the issue of restoration, as well as the recognition that then it's both the university and the students get. But of particular importance now, I'm moving outside of SACNAP because there are other professional bodies. There are some that are also responsible for accreditation. Why is that important? It is important because, it gives us confidence that the quality of the programs that we're giving to our students are quite relevant. That's number one. Number two, in terms of the recognition, as I said, it really enhances the credibility of any institution as well as the products that come out of that institution when there is involvement of the professional body, because of the reasons that I've just mentioned. Thirdly, if you are looking at, my colleague has just mentioned the issue of CPD, continuing professional development. Through this collaboration, the outcomes that we are getting in terms of us as academic institution getting involved in developing those continuing professional development programs is quite very much important. So I'm just highlighting just a few things that are an outcome of the collaboration that we're having with professional bodies. If you're looking at, for instance, the network opportunities that come with this collaboration, our students, they are getting an opportunity to network with potential employers. They are getting an opportunity to network with professionals in the field. And it then means that the student doesn't wait until she or he graduates for her or him to interact with people in the field. And what does that do to have access or to have exposure to people that are in the field? Mentorship comes in there. They end up getting mentorship placements of our students. So that interaction is not happening only at the end of the journey, but throughout the journey is continuing. I can go on and on and on talking about the outcomes of the collaboration. Let me close with this one, the issue of the industry relevant training. And I keep on coming back to this because we do not want to collaborate. I'm sure as a country now, we do not want to just collaborate to tick the box. We want to collaborate so that we can see the impact of that which we are collaborating on. So our collaboration with professional bodies, they also ensure then that we are in a position to incorporate the industry content into that which we are giving to the students. I'll pause there for now.
Thank you so much. And with everything that you've said now, I'm going to ask both of you with Prof. Diop as well to keep it in mind, because I want to come back to how we develop the student and bring them out as an industry-ready professional and the support system that is then needed for that. The students then leave an institution like TUT, Dr. Sithole, and they have graduated and have a qualification that speaks to the environmental assessment space. Why is it important for you to have the students, or not the students, the professionals under your field to be associated with an industry body like SACNASP?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. So it is important because you find the alignment that the colleagues have been talking about now. If there isn't alignment between what's happening within the industry and what is happening within the academic institutions, if that alignment is not there, then you find even the way they work, the way they perform their tasks won't be up to standard. So the professionalization aspect then comes in ensuring that these students work within certain parameters, within certain codes, within certain rules, that we have developed as professional bodies. But let me also just be quick to say, in as much as we're trying to get that alignment, to get the students aligned with the professional world, we actually still have a huge gap at the moment. There isn't synergy between what's coming out of our universities and what we have on the ground. I think I always use this example and say, we've been excited recently about hydrogen energy and renewable energies. And if I can ask the universities in here to say, who is teaching those subjects? We're excited, we've got all these things. We've got waste, a lot of waste now from the solar panels. Our students, are the professionals ready? Are we teaching those things? And I think this is where we are as a country, where there's now a mismatch in terms of the professional world and what is coming out of the universities. And now we sit and we say our kids are not professional. Or the consultants are not professional, but how do they know? How will they know the impact of these things if they are not exposed to them at university level? And so this is what we are grappling with now as professional bodies, to say, how do we balance all these things, all this new technology? I think we need to start thinking 20 years ahead, Dr. Boko, and say, what is it that we anticipate to see in the next 20 years as a country? What technologies are we anticipating to see in the next 20 years? Then we call in our academic institutions and say, can you please start teaching these things? Otherwise, we'll still come back and say there's no professionalism and we've got a mismatch and we've got this. And I think, so we then take up from there as professional organizations and try to mentor, like what everyone has said, and get everyone up to speed.
Is the work aligned? The synergies in different spaces, is it happening towards one core, or is everyone doing their thing on the other side? And when you're dealing with a public sector as large as the number of departments we have, how does that present itself as a challenge or an opportunity to you guys?
It will need to align more. I think there are snippets of alignment, but we still have a long way to go. That's the one point. But the other point is about the genesis of where this partnership starts, where it goes, and what it helps us to achieve. Sometimes the alignment is not countrywide. So for example, there might be a project with a specific department, but that project between a specific institution and a specific department does not link properly to the rest of the state and where the rest of the state is going. So we'll have to do a lot of work there. But it's also about the psychology of our country and how we do things. You know, parents at home think they don't have any responsibility to teach their children about the Constitution, because somebody must do it for them somewhere. Higher education institutions think there are certain things they don't have to do because somebody somewhere will deal with it. That we still need to tighten
Or
up.
they think somebody already did it before the student got to their level.
Yes.
Prof, as you guys sit and deal with strategic projects, these issues that came up present themselves, the misalignments where they exist. I need you to think about how, from your perspective, you'll be able to assist us with that. But first, I want Dr. Sithole, because he raised the dynamic changes within environment. And I know as he was speaking, I thought, in Gauteng, we were celebrating so many installers of solar panels. Those kind of things are those challenges? Are those opportunities? Are they a bit of a headache to you guys?
Yeah, so the issue really is not around, I think you've raised it well, Dr. Maja, in terms of the alignment that everybody's working from their own, perspective or from their own institution and doing things maybe the way they feel it's suitable for them. But I think where we are seated is, that for me is actually where the problem is. Mm-hmm. Because we are we are what?
Reactive.
Reactive. And this is why I raised the issue of the 20 years. We are being reactive. Why should we be conducting AI research now? Why should we be dealing with solar issues now? We introduced certain environmental issues, certain technology, without us having prepared ourselves for it. Why should we be embarking on hydrogen technology and teaching on those things now, when we are already spending billions in buying renewable energy, for example? We're giving that as an example. We are spending billions importing infrastructure from Europe. We don't even have manufacturing countries, industries locally. And so all the money, we just dishing out the money, technology is coming in, and we are now saying, now we start. Why did we not see this 10 years ago and start developing our own industries? Why should we rely on Germany? This is where my issue is, and that's why I'm saying, instead of us researching on what we are currently dealing with now, we should be thinking what's going to happen in the next 20 years. Because we're chasing a moving target. By the time we develop that car, our own way, by the time we develop that kind of solar panel, for example, our own way, the whole world, Europe, would have moved 20 years ahead. And now we're still going to buy from them and spend money. You get what I'm saying? So this is why I'm saying, I know we've got synergies, but can we think 20 years ahead and start developing things that are 20 years ahead? That's my issue.
Thank you so much, TVC. If I can come to you quickly, Dr. Sitole, and then I'll ask Dr. Maja to wrap up for us as well. A way forward, as you sign an MOU with SACNASP, what do you envisage will be the good that brings to your profession?
Yeah, so as a way forward, I think having to put on the professional hat is to say, we really encourage individuals who are operating in their fields to be registered and be professional in their work, because in doing so, then it improves the quality of work that goes out, and even our environment, the quality of life. So we really encourage and also would like to encourage those same professionals to work within the parameters of the code of conduct and ethical practice. And maybe just picking up as well a bit from that part, we have taken it upon ourselves as councils, including SACNASP, and all the other councils within the built environment, to drive an agenda for ethics. We can sit and complain all we want about issues around corruption, issues around mismanagement, but it's our professionals who are involved in some of those things. And you find some of them don't even understand what is right or wrong, because they grew up in an environment that did not even expose them to ethical contact. So we can scream and shout, but they might not even understand what they are doing. So we are pushing that as councils. We're working together as councils, and we are driving that agenda, and I hope it's going to improve not only the public sector, but the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you can then wrap it up for us to say, how do we have a professionalized public sector, especially in the natural scientific professions, and how will this crusade that you say you are starting now with SACNASP going to improve things for us in 20 years and more to come?
Yeah. So let me really start again from the beginning and say that professionalization, integrity, inclusivity, all the principles that we talk about a lot start from the home. Until South Africans wake up to the reality and the need to hold parents accountable, we are not going to win going forward. So all of us, as we move forward, as SACNASP celebrates the next 20 years, we need to all ask ourselves, how are we going to go back to the home so that the roots of what we inherit are improved as we do top-ups at universities, as we do top-ups at the National School of Government and across the country. So the role of parents is key, and that's a conversation we avoid. And that's why in South Africa, many of us as parents are getting away with murder. So one day we must go back to that beginning and say, what are we doing as parents at home to professionalize, to encourage integrity and inclusivity?
Wow. Thank you so much. It looks like we're going to be having many more conversations, Dr. Oboko, not just ending it here today. But thank you so much to our panelists for taking their time and preparing and sharing the knowledge that you have. I wish we had more time, but unfortunately, we've come to the end of our discussion. Can we please give them all a very big hand? I would like to invite Professor Randall Carolison together with the CEO, Dr. Oboko. The signing will be done by the professor on UJ's part and by CEO on the part of SACNASP. And as the signing is happening, I want to make you aware that the University of Johannesburg is present in the foyer. Congratulations, SACNASP and UJ. Here's to a very beautiful, long relationship.